But as you can see, I'm part of this an older generation that failed to get the job done. So it really is time to hear from the youth. So we are literally going to hear from the youth. Yeah, I'm getting out of here. Yeah, but it does give me great pleasure to present the first young person to speak to you today, Kallan Benson. Kallan has been advocating for climate action since she was inspired by the People's Climate March in 2014. She's the co-director of Parachutes for the Planet. There's a sample over there. And an active member of Zero Hour and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation's Student Bay Advisory Council. She sees the effects of climate change and sea level rise at her home on the Severn River. And so I'll turn it over to Kallan to tell you more about that.
As Tom said, my name is Kallan Benson. I'm 14 years old. Climate change. At this point, we see it all around us. Last year at the People's Climate March, the temperature soared into the 90s, and that was in April. In Annapolis, which I live right outside of, sunny day flooding increases every year. My grandfather and I volunteer at a local theater. During high tide, he has to drive through a flooded street to get to it. I see islands disappearing into the Chesapeake Bay and high tides that routinely cover docks and water. I see it, and you do too, even though you may not recognize it. 16 of the hottest years on record have occurred in this century. What about how this summer started out so dry that you couldn't push a stick into the ground? And then suddenly at the end of July, in one day we surpassed the monthly average for rainfall. And now at the end of October, the trees outside my house have only just started showing their colors. If this is what it's like now, what is it going to look like 10, 20, 30 years from now? When I'm an adult, when I have children and grandchildren, will they have a livable future? Will I have a livable future? These are the questions I hear echoing around the world when working on my project, Parachutes for the Planet. Parachutes for the Planet is a global art initiative to encourage action and lift up youth voices on climate change. We give youth a way to express their concerns by painting circular banners made out of blank parachutes or old bed sheets. Youth from all over the world have created almost 300 of these parachutes, which represent their billowing hopes that action will be taken to save the future of this planet. The messages echo across every continent. Save our planet. Stop killing Mother Earth, and the most heartbreaking, save us. Kids from the Marshall Islands sent letters with their parachutes sharing their concerns about climate change. One read, RMI, the Republic of the Marshall Islands. People nowadays are moving everywhere and the population is getting smaller. The climate change thing matters to some people, not all of them. The Marshallese people in America don't care about climate change in the RMI, but they don't know that soon the RMI will be gone. How sad. Oh boy. Gotta turn the page here. There we go. And now we have the wind. In Kenya, 8-year-old Juliana is going to schools and around the country making parachutes and planting trees. She was inspired by the environmental activist and Nobel Peace Prize laureate Wangari Maathai, and she wants to help her country keep its water resources. In Lithuania, one school was so excited to get other kids involved in the project that they made their own video in Lithuania to distribute to other schools. In Oregon, an entire school district made parachutes and shared their display of 40 parachutes at a local farmer's market. In Alaska, they quilted a parachute that depicts scenes of pollution, glacier, and permafrost melt that are threatening their communities. In one Baltimore elementary school, the Green Meter Club worked with their local community at a festival using handprints to depict the Baltimore Oriole, the iconic state bird of Maryland, whose territory may be shifting north because of climate change. And in Canada, they collected parachutes to have a sibling display in Ottawa while the rest of the parachutes were displayed here in BC. Why are all these youth making parachutes? Because they know climate change is a huge issue that will directly affect their future. The judges in the building behind me have children and grandchildren. The politicians in the House and the Senate do as well, and so does President Trump. What I want to ask them is, do they feel any responsibility for the next generation's future? Do they think it's fair to put this burden on us?
No!
Even the richest, most well-positioned kid is going to feel the effects of climate change. We are standing here today not because we were paid, not because we're some angry mob, but because we know that climate change is a major issue, and I believe that you care about my future.
Yes, we do.
What we want is a comprehensive plan on climate change. What we want is comprehensive action on climate change. We stand with the youth plaintiffs in Oregon who represent not just the youth of this country, but the youth of the world.
Yay!
And we are demanding a livable future for all. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to sing a little song as soon as I deal with my paper. So have any of you heard Happy by Pharrell?
Yes.
All right. So when he sings Happy, I'm going to sing Global Warming, and I want you to sing with me. It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. The sun shines here, we burn fuel anyway. Heavy metals spew up to outer space. Trash the air like we don't care if the world is safe. Global warming, clap along if you know that there's too much CO2. Global warming, clap along if you know that it comes from fossil fuels. Global warming, clap along if you believe that the whole world must reduce. Global warming, clap along if you know it depends on me and you. Here comes bad news, the temp is rising fast. If we burn all we got, there'll be no turning back. Well, the scientists warn us that the seas will rise. Clap to show they didn't waste their time. They cry, global warming, clap along if you know that there's too much CO2. Global warming, clap along if you know that it comes from fossil fuels. Global warming, clap along if you believe that the whole world must reduce. Global warming, clap along to show you know it depends on me and you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kallan. I think you have a very special future. We need singers and songs for the climate movement. And okay, next week.